Now, that title has probably confused you, especially since Chapter 4 just released. From a gameplay standpoint, Chapter 4 is fantastic, but ever since the Collision event, Fortnite has lacked a concrete thing with the story. Everything that the story had built up to before the Collision event had been concluded in one way or another, and the Collision event seemingly concluded IO's story, and with the Zero War comics filling in gaps, it really felt like a satisfying end to the Fortnite storyline. But why do I think this? Let's look back at the Fortnite story and what was first shown to us, when it was first shown to us, and when it was then paid off or ended. Chapter 1 Season 4 set up the 7, and when you think about it, the loop as well. This was done through the Visitor as well as a historic moment in gaming history, the first live event, the rocket launch. The Visitor turns a film set prop rocket into an actual rocket and flies it into the air, presumably trying to break the loop, which we learnt more about from the scientist in Season X.
When I hear this again, will it help me remember? Or once looped, will I be just as muted as the others? No matter, it seems the lengthy precautions worked.
But instead, all he did was cause a fracture in time, setting up the last reality. However, the cube would remain a mystery for 10 plus seasons before the alien invasion event revealed where Kevin the Cube came from. The cube heads to Loot Lake. At the time, we didn't know why, but in Season 8 it would be revealed that it's because of a 0 point, a powerful ball of cosmic energy that someone had control over to create the loop. Energy like that made the last reality want it, and which is why the cube was attracted to it. But first, because of the events of the butterfly event and the cube explosion, a piece of an ice moon from the rest of the deserted Reality Zero broke free. This revealed the Ice King, and his backstory is explained in issue 4 of the Zero War comic line, tying up that loose end. It gives us an insight into who he is and what he did, but also why he had the prisoner and the monster frozen. Now, the Fortnite storyline is one I deeply care about because for 20 seasons it was really interesting, and if given the right thought process, it could make it as a film series if in the right hands. Would honestly be something I would love to be a part of. But it does have plot holes, caused by stuff later down the line. Of course, by having a conversation with the Fortnite story team or Donald Mustard, this plot hole could be covered in a film series, and that is, who dug up the vault in Season 8? IO have supposedly been in charge for hundreds of years, meaning they've had control over the vault, so it wasn't them. Perhaps it was Paradigm and IO caught her, which would explain why she was in their custody. It would at least connect those 2 points because that has also never been explained. Then of course the monster event happens, which is definitely still one of the cooler live events, setting up the events of Zero War and Paradigm being on the Ice Moon for that time period. And then the scientist arrives, messing up time on the island even more with the rift zones and the first end event. The 7, from what the Visitor learnt, tried to break the loop once more by destroying its source, the 0 point, before the 0 point pulls the whole island into a black hole before throwing it out into 2 islands, one on top of the other one, sort of, but to get to the other one you have to flip the other one. It's confusing, but it somehow works. But this damage to the 0 point caused other locations from random realities to be pulled in as well. The yacht, the grotto, the rig, the shark, and the agency. The leader of the agency, Midas, creates a device to try break the loop, which is more successful than the 7's 2 attempts, showing the loop is getting closer to being broken, and also giving us our first tease at IO and Jones. Then, probably still one of the most impressive things Fortnite has done happens. Caused by the first end event, Galactus is attracted to the 0 point in an entire Marvel-themed season. Tony Stark hacks the loop because Galactus got his hands on the 0 point for a period of time. The reality starts to destabilize a bit, and a fragment of the 0 point ended up in reality 616, which would be a plot point for Zero War. It all leads up to the Collision event. Then, because of this event, Jones has to call in hunters to make sure no loopers escape while he tries to fix the 0 point.
I've been gathering the greatest hunters across all realities, and I started with the best. Cost a lot of credits to convince Mando, but this is the way.
But when all goes wrong, he has to call in the leader of the 7, the Foundation, and abandon IO. The leader of the Imagined Order, Geno, and more members of the 7, the Sisters, are teased at this point in the story, and because of these events, the Batman comics take place. This serves as a place where we learn more about the loop as Batman tries to get home to Gotham after being pulled in by the Imagined Order. And the last loose thread before the grand conclusion of Zero War and Collision. The last reality finally makes its way to Reality Zero, attempting to take the 0 point but failing to this day over the island. In Operation Skyfire, we learn this is where Kevin originated from, and they'd even tied the last reality into the 7 with the origin originally coming from there. The Q Queen is their leader, but her plan is foiled by the 7 who flip the island. And then the grand finale of the story happens. The Zero War Comics and Collision event. The Ice King is explained, as is the Paradigm's disappearance, and Geno's story is revealed before he meets an end after a sacrifice from one of his daughters and one of the sisters, the Imagined, by pulling the 2 of them into an unfocused 0 point and spreading fragments of themselves across the Omniverse. Sloane also dies, and Io are defeated. The story ends. It only continues because it has to. Geno will return because he has to for the game to continue going in the way it is. The game has to have a story for new seasons to happen, and I'm not complaining because I'm still playing this game and I still love it. I guess I will still tune into the story every now and again, and it looks to be picking up again at last. But I thought everything was tied up nicely, kind of like how Avengers Endgame tied up the Infinity Saga. After what was close to 5 years, I'm officially emotionally done with the Fortnite story and making Fortnite theory videos. It's been a wild ride, and I really do hope that Fortnite film series gets made one day, because it would be interesting. Are you still interested in the Fortnite story? Be sure to comment below. The Fortnite story is one that will always be special to me, and I love to hear your thoughts about it and how you feel about the story. Peace out.